After 4 years of living in the UK with my husband, we finally bought our first family car. So in this video, I will share my experience buying our family car as an immigrant here in the UK. I will discuss why we needed the car, the challenges we faced when buying our car, the documents required, how we chose the car we bought, how we financed the car, where we purchased our car from, and some tips I learned along the way that might help those looking to buy a car here in the UK. So if you're an immigrant here in the UK or you're just curious about the process of buying a car here in the UK, keep watching. Now, let me start by telling you why we needed a car as an immigrant family of 3 here in the UK. Now, since my husband and I moved to the UK, or since we started living here in the UK, we actually did not see a reason to buy a car as we found the public transportation system here in the UK reliable. Also, we work from home and we rarely go out, but the public transportation is sometimes inconvenient for us because we now have a toddler, and if you know toddlers, you know that they are not the easiest to handle when you're moving from one place to another. And we are at a phase in our lives now where we want the freedom to explore the UK. We want to be able to visit friends and family and handle everyday errands without relying on buses and trains. So buying a car just seems like the best option right now, especially now that we live in a small commuter town where the transport system is not so great. I think this is the point where I would admit that I miss living in Manchester. So for those of you who are new here, we used to live in Manchester. And when we lived in Manchester, our proximity to places was the best because we're close to everywhere we needed to be or everywhere we needed to do what we had to do when we were living in Manchester. But now we live in the Midlands and transport system here is not so great. So that was one thing that propelled us buying a car faster than we even expected. To be fair, we'd say maybe by the end of this year or next year. To put it in context for you, we actually bought a house before we bought a car. So it just shows you that we weren't really considering buying a car because we didn't see it as much of a necessity, but now we see it as a necessity. So let's move on to the second section of this video, which is the initial challenges we faced when buying our car. So the first challenge my husband and I faced was understanding the UK car market. So coming from Nigeria, we weren't really familiar with the different brands, models, or car terminology used here in the UK. So this meant that we spent a lot of time researching online, reading blog posts, reading reviews. We spoke to my uncle who sells cars occasionally here in the UK, and we did watch a lot of YouTube videos just to get a sense of what car would be a good fit for our family. We also had to learn about the legal requirements like getting a driving license, understanding road tax here in the UK, and the importance of MOT and insurance. It was initially overwhelming, I'm not going to lie, but we broke it down into manageable steps and that helped. So moving on to the third segment of the video, which is the document needed to buy a car here in the UK. So for us, we needed proof of identity, proof of address, and a valid driving license to buy our car here in the UK. Now, we used our UK driving license for proof of address because it had our updated address. So there was no need looking for any proof of address because our address was already written on our driver's license. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah. So let me just chip this in here. If you are new to the UK, you could actually use the driver's license from your home country to secure an international driver's license here in the UK that can allow you to drive in the UK for up to a year. But you would eventually need to get a UK driver's license after a year. So you have to take the theory test and then take the practical test, and then you have to get your full UK driver's license. But you can actually get a professional driver's license. In short, when you're using your international driving license to drive here in the UK, you actually need a provisional UK driver's license alongside with your international driver's license to drive here in the UK. So let's move on to the fourth section of this video, which is how we chose the right car. Now, choosing the right car was both exciting and challenging. I mean, we visited several dealerships and we eventually bought our car from Sporty Cars, and we had to go see the car in person in Chichester, and Chichester is after London. In short, now, if anybody living in London tells me that Midlands is not, I will tell them that London is not, because Chichester is actually south. I'll put a map for you guys to see where Chichester is, where we went to see our car before it was delivered to us in person, so that you guys will know that we traveled a very long way from the Midlands to Chichester to go and see the car before we eventually bought it. Now for us, we were looking for a reliable, fuel-efficient, automatic crossover SUV within our budget that also offered ISOFIX for child seat anchor points, because we have a toddler and we wanted panoramic roof, and we also wanted rear reverse camera. Now that panoramic roof was my idea. So yeah, those were the major things we looked at for when we wanted to buy a car. And we were looking for a car that would give us the soft life, in the sense that we would not have headache with the car and to be easy to drive. So we're looking for ease of drive. So that's why we didn't want manual car. And again, I'd already done manual driving license, and I found out that manual was not my thing. I'm a baby girl for life, so please, I cannot be stressing doing manual gearbox and stuff like that. So that's why it was important we went for an automatic car. Likewise, my husband and I also wanted a car that was visually appealing to the eye, like it looks nice, because we would be having only one family car for a very long time to come. For the foreseeable future, I don't think we'll be having two family cars unless we blow and we are boxed up and God has blessed us. We've done everything we wanted with money. We've done everything we want with money. We've helped family and friends around us, and we have extra cash lying around. Then we can go and start buying our dream car. My husband's dream car is a Tesla. My dream car is a Range Rover. I know people say Range Rover is not reliable, but I mean, if I have the cash and I'll blow, why can't I buy a Range Rover? If it's spoiled, I have money to repair. But right now, we went for something that was, reliable, fuel efficient, automatic. It had everything we wanted, especially with a toddler, a car that would be good for us. So we chose a used Peugeot 2008 GT line that was about 3 years old, because it met all our criteria and it had good reviews. Now, let me touch a bit on something you should consider between manual and automatic cars here in the UK. So, manual transmission cars are typically more affordable in the UK than automatic cars. Yes, automatic cars are more expensive than manual cars. So, that's something you should consider. Now, I think the price variation can be attributed to the higher manufacturing cost associated with automatic vehicles and the lower demand of automatic vehicles here in the UK car market. Now, in the UK, most people living here would actually prefer to go for a manual car. I don't know why, but automatic cars are not in high demand like the way manual cars are. Maybe because manual cars are cheaper than automatic car. Honestly, I don't know the reason. If you know the reason, you can share with us in the comment section. Now, despite the high price, we opted for an automatic vehicle for its convenience and ease of driving, like I mentioned earlier. Now, if we were to buy our car, which is a Peugeot 208 GT line in manual, it would have been cheaper than what we bought. So we would have spent like 2K, 3K less. So that's it. But for us, we didn't mind. We just wanted that ease and convenience of driving automatic car. And to be fair, our dream cars, if we eventually buy it one day, would be automatic, because my husband likes a Tesla and I like Range Rover. And those two cars would typically come in automatic, not manual. Now, my tip for you when choosing the right car is to test drive as many cars as possible. It will give you a feel of what you like and what you don't like. Also, do not rush to make a decision. Take your time to find the right car for you. In our case, it took us about 4 months or so to buy a car, because we kept on visiting different dealerships, talking to people and stuff like that. So we took our sweet time to buy our car. You also need to consider the car's primary purpose, required size, fuel efficiency, convenience and ease of drive. Likewise, it's good to account for the initial cost and the ongoing expenses like insurance, maintenance and fuel. Now let's move on to the 5th section of this video, which is how we finance the car. Now, we explored different options, including personal loans, personal contract purchase, which is PCP, and hire purchase, which is HP. Now, we opted to go for personal loan to finance the car because we preferred owning the vehicle outright from the beginning with no limitations on usage or mileage, and we wanted to avoid the substantial balloon payment at the end of a PCP agreement. With the personal loan, we could cover the car's cost upfront and make low interest monthly payments to the lender. So what we did was we actually borrowed a lump sum money from a lending society here in the UK with low interest. And then when we wanted to buy our car, we took the lump sum to the dealership and we paid them in cash. And instead of paying the dealership every month, we'll be paying the lending society we took the money from every month. And to be honest, it just works out for us based on our financial circumstances right now. And I've already given reasons why we did that instead of going for PCP. Now, hire purchase was not also an option for us because we do not intend on swapping cars. We are not car lovers like that, so hire purchase does not appeal to us. We just wanted to own our car outright and use it for as long as possible. You know, the way we used to use car in Nigeria, where you just buy your car and then you use the life out of the car. That's what we're actually planning on doing. To be fair, although cars provide us with ease and convenience, it's also a liability, and that's something you should consider when you're buying one. And that's something we considered before we bought our car. Now, when buying a car, you need to consider different financial options carefully. Choose the option that suits your specific needs and preference rather than going with the trend. So because people say, oh, hire purchase or PCP, you can just be changing car as you like, or you just pay one lump sum at the end, or you can switch on that car and stuff like that. They sound nice, but when you read the fine print and you compare the fine print to your financial situation, you got to ask yourself, can I afford this? If you cannot afford it, better to just go for a car within your budget and just pay for it outright. Either you save for it or you borrow and pay it outright and then you pay it back to the lender as you go. And that advice I'll give you when you're taking a contract out to buy a car, that's a financial contract, either you're borrowing the money or you're going with PCP or hire purchase or dealership, whatever you are going with, always read and understand the fine print of your financial agreement options to know what you are signing up for, to avoid hidden costs and penalty fees. Because some of these car contracts, they always used to have penalty fee if you default on some things, or they used to have hidden costs that would add up as you go. So that's why I said you need to understand what works for you. So because Mr. A did hire purchase or PCP or did a loan or save up to buy his own car outright, does not mean what Mr. A did will work for Mr. B. Everybody has a unique financial circumstances and a unique lifestyle, and you always need to put that into consideration before buying something as expensive as a car. So moving on, let's talk about insurance and road tax. Obtaining car insurance in the UK can be challenging, especially if you lack a UK driving history. To tackle this, we found that using comparison websites such as Compare the Market and Go Compare helped us identify the most favorable car insurance deals for us. Now, when you're buying a car here in the UK, it's essential to factor in the cost of road tax. Now, road tax here in the UK is determined based on your vehicle's CO2 emissions. Now, before you buy a car here in the UK, you can just go on gov.uk, put in the car details, and then it will give you the amount you'll be paying in road tax yearly. So I think you can pay road tax yearly or every 6 months, depending on what you opt for. So the more CO2 your car emits, the higher your road tax, and the less it emits, the lower your road tax. I think for the car we bought, our yearly road tax was about £190. So yeah, the road tax was not that expensive. So this is something we also considered before going for the car we went for. Now, I'll recommend that you should shop around for the best deals when it comes to car insurance. And I also recommend that you should budget for the car insurance expenses, the MOT, the road tax, when you're looking to buy a car, because at the long run, it will save you a lot of money. If you go for a car that the road tax is high, it adds up to the ongoing cost of running the car. So you need to consider this before you even buy the car, so that at the long run, you're not spending money you don't have. And you also need to consider the cost of repairing a car. So in the UK, some cars are more expensive to repair than others. So you need to consider this, because at the long run, all of this will cost you money. So when buying a car, you need to think about the initial cost and the ongoing cost. That's the recurring cost for maintaining the car. Now let's talk about where to purchase a car in the UK. Purchasing a car is a significant decision, not just in terms of financial investment, but also for the practicality and the long-term satisfaction it brings. Now, whether you're buying your first car or buying your first family car or upgrading to meet new needs, like you're changing your car, where you chose to make this purchase can significantly impact your experience. The first place where you can buy a car from here in the UK is authorized dealerships that are affiliated with specific vehicle manufacturers or offer brand new car, often with warranty coverage and after sales services directly from the car manufacturer. They provide a reliable option for those seeking the latest model, genuine parts, and expert advice tailored to the brand. So here in the UK, you have authorized dealership for Peugeot, Ford, BMW, etc. etc., etc. So for Peugeot, I think it's Sporty Cars. We bought our car from Sporty Cars. And for Ford, you can buy from Trust Ford or Locust Ford. There are different Ford authorized dealerships here in the UK. And to be fair, there are numerous authorized dealerships that sells cars from different brands here in the UK. So the second place you can buy a car from is from independent dealerships. So independent dealerships can be a good choice for a broader selection for new and used vehicles from various brands. While they may not offer manufacturer warranty, they offer competitive price and flexibility in negotiating deals. Researching for their reputation and customer review can also help you gauge their reliability. Examples of independent dealerships are Arnold Clark's and JCT 600. There are many of them. Just Google them, you find them. The third place you can buy a car from are online platforms. So as we all know, we are in the digital age, and online platforms have revolutionized car shopping by offering vast selection of new and used cars with detailed specification and competitive prices. Websites like Auto Traders, eBay Cars, and manufacturer websites allows you to compare models, read reviews, and often facilitates direct purchases or connections with local dealers. You can also check websites like Cazoo, Motorway, and CarWow. Now, the first two places I mentioned you can buy cars from gives you peace of mind because you are buying from independent dealership or authorized dealership. But when you start coming to online platforms, you need to be careful, you need to read reviews and be sure. But when I mean online platforms, I mean authorized dealership also have online platforms. So when you check their online platforms, you can go in person and check the car. Now, the fourth place in which you can buy a car from is private sellers. Now, buying from private sellers can sometimes offer lower prices compared to authorized dealerships or from dealerships in general. However, it requires thorough inspection to ensure the vehicle's condition and legalities are sound. Private sales also lack warranty or guarantees, so buyers should exercise caution and consider conducting a vehicle history check. So here in the UK, there are websites where you can check for your vehicle history to be sure that they've not been involved in an accident, or to be sure that they were not stolen vehicles, or to be sure that the mileage is accurate, they've not tampered with the mileage. But I think some platforms you have to pay for it and some platforms are free. I'll leave screenshots of the website for you so you can go check them out. Now, you can find private sellers on Facebook Marketplace, which I don't recommend, but you can also find private sellers on Auto Trader, and you can even find dealerships on Auto Trader. Now, the fifth place to buy a car from is car auctions. Now, car auctions can be an opportunity for you to find vehicles at below market prices, but they come with risk. Now, if you are buying from car auctions, you need to be knowledgeable about the vehicle bidding process and potential costs beyond the winning bids, such as auction fees and transportation. Now, you can buy vehicles on auctions from BCA, that's British Car Auctions, Wilson Auctions, and Aston Barclays. Now let's move on to the last section of this video, which is what to consider when buying a car. Now, regardless where you choose to buy your car from, specific consideration applies in general. The first consideration is to determine your budget and research financial options if necessary. Secondly, you need to research by comparing prices, reading reviews, and considering factors like reliability, resale value, and insurance cost. Another consideration is to always inspect a used car thoroughly or hire a professional mechanic to help you inspect the car. The fourth thing is to ensure that all paperwork, including the V5C registration documents and service history, is in order. The last but not the least thing to consider is to negotiate for the price. Like I used to say, there's always room for negotiating or for getting a bargain, especially when you're buying from a dealership or private seller. In conclusion, buying a car as an immigrant here in the UK was challenging, but it was a learning experience and it was worth the freedom and convenience it brings. However, choosing the right car involves several factors that aligns with your needs, budget, and preference. In the next video, I will share some tips that helped us make an informed decision when buying our car, which might help you. With that said, I hope my experience helps you in your car buying journey. Please comment below if you have any questions or you have some tips and tricks to share with others about buying a car here in the UK. Thanks for watching and happy car hunting.